if you study like any democracy that's been created, any democratic system in the last 100 plus years, almost all of them went with a multi-party system, and what they do in these countries is that you vote for a political party, and there might be like 20 different parties. And so there's constantly like negotiating, and there's pros and cons to every system. But almost no one, I don't know if anyone else has really chosen our particular system. And our system wasn't actually designed this way. Like the founding fathers wanted there to be no parties, and so they designed our political system around the assumption that there would be no parties, and immediately two parties emerged. Because if you look at sort of the game theoretic elements of our system, that's really inevitable. It was sort of designed, but it was inevitable part of the design, but it wasn't an intentional part of the design. And we've been living with it ever since. And the only way to like adjust this is to have people that are in power vote for a system that gives them less power. And nobody ever does that in politics. So we're sort of stuck. once you once these things happen, it's like we are in this system forever until the next revolution, I guess. But I think that we're watching over a couple 100 years this two-party system kind of harden. And one of the things that Zachary is saying is, and what tends to happen in a two-party system is you tend to begin to move your party around a particular very strong voting block. Like a voting block can have a lot of power in a two-party system, and so what was identified was that evangelicals are a voting block that's really worth coalescing around, and then that created a counter reaction, which is that if you get one group of people and like religious evangelicals to begin to vote increasingly in lockstep with a particular party, then the way that the other party is going to respond is they're going to look for people that feel disenfranchised by that party. And this is kind of the way a two-party system inevitably works. But again, it's like I'm just like, if you're kind of sitting back saying, I really want what's best for evangelism, you kind of would really be frustrated with this move. If you want what's best for actual policy, you might say, "Oh, let's play the game." Let's like really begin to um, try to get more and more power in one party. This is kind of what the Jerry Falwell response, and we're going to begin to move that in a direction that will, be advantageous to our beliefs around ethics or morality or justice. So this is a conundrum, and part of the reason why I think it's really important is that as things get increasingly political, the political realm is invading almost every element of family life. And I think people are going to see virtually all of those things through a political lens. Even when he said things like abortion, same-sex marriage, he said all of these were political. They didn't, they didn't used to be primarily political issues. They are today seen that way. But if you think about these things purely from an ethics perspective or a moral perspective, then you would, if everyone was religious, then they would first see these as faith-based issues of morality and justice, and secondarily as political issues. But in a increasingly secular society, they're seen only as political issues, which is, man, another, I think, really major blow to the ability to have just free conversations and relationships with people who have different opinions.